Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It is a special surprise today because it's our News Digest unit, so we're going to be talking about things in the news. And then the second big surprise is that it's our all-English unit. So we're not going to have a Chinese teacher today, and since it is our all-English unit, we decided that the Chinese teacher did not need to come in today, and the Chinese teacher is enjoying the day off.
Isn't that awesome? Well, for those of you out there that really like news, especially news from abroad, you might have been following the story about Elon Musk. Elon Musk has become, famous for some of the businesses he's led. We know that he was into rockets and space. What was that?
SpaceX.
SpaceX. Yeah. Oh, my nephew loved that. He also is the leader of Tesla, of course. But and I'm sure a lot of people out there haven't been paying attention to the latest controversy he's been embroiled in because it concerns Twitter. And Twitter's not that popular, a social media platform in Taiwan. I look at Twitter almost every day, so I knew what was going on. But we're going to be talking about the offer he made to Twitter to buy the company out. So he would be the primary owner, and he wanted to make it more of a free speech platform because I guess in the last 5-6 years, it's not really free speech based. If Twitter doesn't like what you're posting, they just close your account. They even closed the President of the United States account, Donald Trump, years ago. And Elon Musk said, it's not a democracy if we don't have free speech. So he has been trying to buy Twitter. So we're going to talk about that and who Elon Musk is. I know who he is. I know where he's from, but I'm not really a big fan. I think he's a great marketer, though, which means he really knows how to advertise himself and get people interested in following him and some of his companies. Tom, do you know much about Elon Musk?
I haven't learned a lot about him, but I did learn a few things before today's lesson. He's one of those really rich guys, and like Donald Trump, you either love him or hate him. So we are going to talk about Elon Musk today and his companies and his business practices and what he's doing to Twitter. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's read through the entire contents of today's lesson, and we'll be right back to talk about it. Social media platform Twitter accepted a purchase offer of $44 billion from the world's richest person, Elon Musk, in April 2022. However, the deal has created friction and sparked heated debate. Musk is known to be a vocal user of Twitter, with nearly 18,000 tweets, many of which are controversial. In the past, he has used his social media voice to liken Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to Adolf Hitler. He also made the absurd claim that a rescuer who saved the lives of several children trapped in a cave in Thailand was a sexual predator. Twitter has worked hard in recent years at being inclusive and promoting what co-founder Jack Dorsey has described as healthy conversation. Twitter has taken a tough stance against hate speech and extremist views and has removed posts and banned users who promote such things. However, with Musk's purchase of the platform, it's feared that this might soon be reversed under the pretext of promoting freedom of speech. Musk says he believes social media should allow people to say what they feel without censorship. However, all communities, whether online or real world, have rules about good conduct. When people violate these rules in real life by using their freedom of speech as a way to harm others, they are often shunned. Online spaces are beginning to reflect this more and more, as demonstrated by Twitter's 2021 decision to ban then U.S. President Donald Trump for inciting the Capitol Hill riot. Freedom of speech is a right many people agree should be preserved, but it can be hard to gauge the right balance. In reality, Musk's takeover is unlikely to have much real-world effect on Twitter, but it might mean that its millions of users must become more vigilant about fact-checking the things they read.
Okay, folks, let's take a look at the title. We've got a vocabulary word right there in the headline. If it's a news story, the title is referred to as the headline. And if you're reading a newspaper, you could say, oh, what are the headlines today? Or what's the headline? So here in this headline, we've got the word controversial. If something's controversial, and that's an adjective, the noun form would be a controversy. Oh, there's a controversy brewing. Or there's some controversy at work that people are all gossiping about. If something's controversial, it just means there's some subject where there's a lot of intense debate. There's some people arguing about it. People are on different sides. You could say that immigration is a controversial issue. Some people think, everybody should be able to immigrate anytime, anywhere. And other people, you think, hey, this is our country. We want to protect it. So controversial just means some sort of topic where people are on different sides of the issue.
Exactly. It's usually something that is quite heated. Like here in Taiwan, you've got lots of controversial issues, and they are so controversial that I don't dare bring them up here.
Oh, no.
Because I might get some people angry. So that's a good demonstration of what controversial is, something that's difficult to discuss in public. And let's begin by looking at the first paragraph here. It says, social media platform Twitter accepted a purchase offer of $44 billion from the world's richest person, Elon Musk, in April of 2022, which is this year, of course. Now, you may have heard of Twitter before. Twitter is more popular outside of Taiwan than it is in Taiwan. I remember many years ago when I first signed up for Facebook, Twitter had started around the same time, but I drew a line at Twitter. I thought, I'm on Facebook. That's enough of the social media stuff. I don't need to be on my phone all day checking Facebook and Twitter both. So I don't really know what's going on with Twitter. I did not sign up for it, but are you on Twitter, Stephanie?
Yeah, I am.
You are.
I didn't, I thought Twitter was a dumb idea at first. I think Facebook just takes too long, so I was never really very active on Facebook. Twitter, though, is a great source if you're into news, and I love the news. I always have. So I signed up eventually because I wanted to respond to some of the tweets. That's what we call them, tweets, if someone posts something. There's a limit as to how long it can be. There's a limited number of words or letters that you can actually use. So that's the downfall, I think, or the downside of Twitter. Facebook, you can just keep typing forever. Instagram does have a limit, but it's not so short like Twitter is. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. And when I get too upset about what's going on in the world, I have to just leave Twitter alone because people post all the negative stuff. I try to follow some positive accounts as well. There's one person that just posts cute things about babies and animals, and I like that one too. So yeah, everybody likes different types of social media. Tom is a big fan of Facebook.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan, but I do check it maybe once or twice a day. You can block people on Facebook that you don't want to see or whose posts you don't want to read.
Same with Twitter.
I guess you can do that with Twitter as well.
Instagram.
Maybe I should reconsider. But yeah, Facebook, Twitter, they're kind of similar. But as you said, Twitter just allows shorter messages. And Elon Musk has tried to purchase Twitter, and he began this campaign to purchase Twitter in April of this year. However, the deal has created friction and sparked heated debate. Friction means people aren't getting along. You might have friction with somebody in the office, for example, if you don't like that person, or if they are kissing the boss's butt more than you are, and they're getting credit for the work that you did, then you might have friction in the office. Friction is a scientific term. It just means when two things rub against each other, and that just causes things to slow down and make noise and create heat.
Right. So, I don't know. I joined Instagram to look at my family's photos primarily. I don't follow big accounts on Instagram. It's just my family. And I don't allow other people to follow me. I just keep it to my family. But Twitter, is all about the news. So what's happening with Twitter? Well, Elon Musk, who is not American, guys, he's actually from South Africa. Pretoria was where he was born and raised. He now does business, of course, in America, but he's not American. So I just wanted to put that in our podcast here. So he is a businessman, though. Some would refer to him as a magnate or a magnet, which just means he's a big business entrepreneur who has made a lot of money. And we've seen it. And a lot of the money he makes comes from the stock market. The stock market is influenced by what he posts sometimes. So he's actually been in trouble with the law for manipulating the stock prices.
Uh-oh.
So, he has to be careful. But he is a very well-followed guy. He has over 80 million followers on Twitter, which is a ton of followers. I'm sure anybody out there who even has 1 million is thinking, wow, that's a lot of people. But he has fans from all over the world.
Indeed, like I said, some people love him, some people hate him. And yes, he is originally from South Africa. I think he was in Canada for a while, and now he operates in America. And I believe he has American citizenship. But remember, he's originally from South Africa. And Musk is known to be a vocal user of Twitter with nearly 80,000 tweets. No, not that many, 18,000 tweets, many of which are controversial. So because we mentioned tweets and you want to talk more about it, then you can use this phrase, many of which. So he has made 18,000 tweets, and many of those tweets, many of which are controversial. Some people don't like the tweets that he is posting.
Well, that's why he gets a lot of people following him and interacting, because what he posts usually makes people mad or they agree. It could be either side. In the past, he has used his social media voice to liken or compare Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to Adolf Hitler, who was not a good leader, as we all know. He was in charge of his Nazis and started World War II. So he also made the absurd claim that a rescuer who would save the lives of several children trapped in a cave in Thailand years ago. Do you remember that story? That this rescuer was a sexual predator. He didn't know that for sure. He was just calling the man a name. I followed up on this story and found out that man took him to court to sue him for lying about him, and Elon Musk won the case.
Okay.
So the judge and the jury decided, they were just fighting online, and so he didn't really mean that he was an actual pedo, as he called him, a pedo guy, a pedophile. And so Elon Musk tends to win these court cases that he gets involved with. So you could say he has a lot of luck too, because sometimes I think he's not so innocent. When you say something's absurd, you just mean it's ridiculous. Oh, how could you even say that? That's absurd. It's so crazy. It's illogical. It's something that nobody should even be believing or accepting. It's so crazy.
Indeed. And, well, that was an absurd claim that he made that one of the rescuers was a pedophile or a sexual predator. And I guess that's just not true. Moving on to the next paragraph here, it says, Twitter has worked hard in recent years at being inclusive and promoting what co-founder Jack Dorsey has described as healthy conversation. So, yes, indeed, Twitter has been trying to improve itself. If you're inclusive, that means you include everything. And, of course, you try to provide all sorts of services, and you try to hear the opinions of many different people.
Yeah, if you're inclusive, it just means you don't block people from joining a group. Perhaps you're in a group, or you have a group of friends at school. If you're inclusive, it means you're willing to let other people come and join your group. You don't say, oh, no, you're not cool enough. You're not rich enough. You're not athletic enough. You're not beautiful enough. You can't join my group. If you're inclusive, you're someone who wants to leave your group open for everyone to be involved. Right now, though, guys, it's time we take a quick break. Again, we don't have a Chinese teacher today, so we'll just take a quick break. Tom and I will sit back, have a snack, and then we'll be back.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue with our all-English unit for the month of October. Again, we're talking about Elon Musk, and more specifically, we're talking about his attempt to purchase Twitter, and this move has been controversial. Some people think it's a good idea, some people think it's a bad idea, and Mr. Musk himself is controversial as well. You may be most familiar with him through the Tesla car that so many people here in Taiwan have purchased. It does seem to be kind of a status symbol. If you drive a Tesla car, you're something special. You stick out in a crowd. You've got lots of money. Everybody wants to be your friend. But Tesla also has some problems with engine failure.
Their batteries.
Batteries are blowing up or something.
They explode, yeah.
Be careful. Do your research before you make such a purchase. But we're focusing specifically on his attempt to purchase Twitter today.
Right. So we're just going to limit our conversation to that for now. So he just wanted to buy up Twitter and make it more of a free speech platform. When Twitter first came out, that's what they told us they were. They just wanted like the community to come together and discuss topics, share opinions and viewpoints. But then suddenly, if you didn't post what someone thought was politically correct or was opposite of what their view was, accounts started getting banned. So he didn't think that was fair, and it definitely wasn't part of our democracy. So that's why he got involved. Jack Dorsey left Twitter at least a year and a half ago, if not more. And when he left, it just got worse. More and more people's accounts were being closed. So Twitter has taken a tough stance, meaning they're really strict against hate speech and extremist views. Of course, those definitions are what they believe are hate speech and extremist views. They still have terrorists who have accounts on Twitter, and yet the American president had his account closed. So it just depends on which side of the issue you're on. They also don't close down accounts of people who are trafficking human beings. So Twitter's not also great either. They've removed posts. Remember, if you post something, guys, you're making a social media post where you put your thoughts or viewpoints or photos. You can post photos these days. Here in Taiwan, you guys say PO. So we're talking about post. You can post with a verb, post something, or you can talk about it as a noun. Oh, I posted something today. You want to take a look. So banned users are people who they're having their accounts shut down. If you ban something, you officially say you can't do that, you can't show that, you can't say that. And if you're banned, you're just officially prevented from doing something.
Of course, there is such a thing as dangerous speech. Of course, if you shout fire into a movie theater, that's probably something you should be doing. So this is kind of hard to figure out what is considered nice and what is considered mean or whatever. So I suppose that's why he's considered controversial here. So some of the users have been banned, and of course, they don't like extremist views, etc. However, with Musk's purchase of the platform, it's feared that this might soon be reversed under the pretext of promoting freedom of speech. So Musk, of course, is a proponent or a supporter of free speech. So he might not have his feelings hurt so badly if somebody posts things that he doesn't like. He'll just say, hey, this is supposed to be free speech. It's all supposed to be out there in the open, and then people are supposed to be able to hear all points of view, and then the good will prevail.
So if you reverse something, you go the opposite way or the opposite direction. So maybe your government decided to raise taxes, and then there were a lot of people who decided to protest, and they reversed their decision. If you reverse something like that, it just means, oh, we were going to raise your taxes, and now we're not. So you change the direction that you're going. Pretext here is an interesting word. If you do something under the pretext of something, and we typically use that phraseology there, under the pretext of, it just means you're doing something, but you're concealing the true reason why. So, under the pretext of promoting freedom of speech. So, our author thinks that Musk might want to reverse this policy and not ban so many people because he's actually saying, I'm doing it for freedom of speech, but the author decides here that maybe there's another reason. We don't know. We can't read his mind. Let's find out in the future, huh?
Yeah, here's the next paragraph. It says, Musk says he believes social media should allow people to say what they feel without censorship. And censorship is when the government usually looks through the things you've written or the things you want to say, and they decide, nah, you can't say that, so they cross it out. They stick pages together and things like that. They cut out parts of movies and things like that. Censorship, of course, is very common in dictatorships. And, of course, it was quite common during World War II by the Russians, by the Cubans. Of course, they practiced censorship all the time, especially North Korea.
And we're finding out it's not just the government that's censoring things now. It's big tech. Big corporations are deciding what you can say and what you can't say and who they want to cancel. It's a big issue right now in America. It says here, however, all communities, whether online or real world, know the rules about good conduct, how to behave, how to treat people well. Treat people the way you want to be treated yourself. That's the golden rule. So conduct just means your actions. How you behave around other people is your conduct. You can have good conduct, poor conduct. Those are important things. Just for getting along in life and having friends and people who respect you. When people violate these rules in real life and are rude or are hateful, whether it's in law or online or in the real world, they're going to lose their freedom of speech as a way to harm others, or sometimes they use their freedom of speech to harm others. They are often shunned. Freedom of speech is a really important principle in America. So once we lose our freedom of speech, we've lost America in a lot of ways. You can use freedom of speech and hurt someone's feelings. That's part of free speech. But nowadays we're telling everybody, you can't even hurt people's feelings. You can't say anything. Well, then you lose your free speech. So when these people are using hateful language or being rude, sometimes they're shunned. If you shun someone, you say, oh, I don't want to be around you. I don't like you. You don't make me feel good. Get away from me.
Right, you just ignore them. You kind of don't accept that they exist. So yes, indeed, people are shunned because they want to promote freedom of speech or whatever. And online spaces are beginning to reflect this more and more, as demonstrated by Twitter's 2021 decision to ban then U.S. President Donald Trump for inciting the Capitol Hill riot. Okay, so that was a controversial move. They banned his account. They did not allow him to make posts on Twitter because they thought he was, I guess, using dangerous language or something like that. That's up to people to decide in that case, but that's what they decided, so they banned him from Twitter, and they did this because they thought he was inciting the Capitol Hill riot. Now, here we've got the verb to incite, which means to encourage something, to stir up violence or whatever. You might incite hatred in a society by calling people names and things like that. In this particular case, they thought that he was inciting a riot that took place in Washington, D.C. Capitol Hill, of course, is where the Capitol building is. That's where Congress meets. The House of Representatives and the Senate all meet in the Capitol building. And a riot is when people are going crazy and they are causing problems and they're fighting each other. And, have there been many riots in Taiwan? Maybe not so much recently.
I don't think so. I think people are are more well-behaved here. So moving on to the final paragraph, it says freedom of speech is a right many people agree should be preserved. If you preserve something, especially a situation or a condition that you're in, it just means you make sure that it stays as it is. It remains as it is. It doesn't change or end. You can preserve other things too. You can preserve food. Maybe you have some new vegetables that you want to can or bottle so that you can eat them in a year from now. You can preserve them by cooking them in a certain way and putting them in a bottle. You can preserve food. Here we're just preserving freedom of speech, that right to speak your mind, to give people your opinion. But it can be hard to gauge the right balance. Gauge here just means measure. Tom, you know more about gauges because of cars, right?
Yeah, gauging can be, well, here gauge is being used as a verb. It just means to measure something, and it's very difficult to determine what is free speech, what is dangerous, and of course that is a problem in society. But indeed, people should speak their minds pretty much all the time. And this is a tricky word here because it's spelled kind of strangely.
Yeah.
My wife always mispronounces this word. She says gouge because A-U, isn't that ow? But this is a weird word. We pronounce it gauge. As a verb and as a noun, the noun would be the actual dials on the dashboard of your car. There's the speed gauge. There's the gasoline gauge. They are indicators of certain specific information. But in this particular case, gauge is being used as a verb and basically just means to measure something.
Right. There's also the temperature gauge. If your car gets too hot, it'll show that you need to maybe put some water in it or some cooling. What do you call it?
Antifreeze?
Antifreeze, yeah. Well,
or summer coolant, antifreeze, sometimes they're the same thing.
I haven't had a car for a while. So in reality, Musk's a takeover, and that's what we call it when one person comes in or a company comes in and buys up another company. So there are different owners. That's a takeover. It says it's unlikely to have much real-world effect on Twitter, but it might mean that its millions of users must become more vigilant about fact-checking the things they read. Well, we'll see what happens, you know. Musk came out and said he was upset about all the spam accounts. Those are fake accounts that people set up. And he said, I'm not getting value because a lot of these accounts are fake. Why would I pay so much for Twitter? So it's going to be interesting to see if it does have an effect on Twitter. And hopefully we'll get some of our free speech rights back on Twitter. But if it's a company, they don't have to necessarily obey our Constitution, which gives us the right of free speech.
And of course, you do need to be vigilant all the time. That means you need to be careful about possible danger or difficulties that might happen. So indeed, yeah, every time you read something on the internet, it's just hard to know what is true and what is not. So yeah, you need to check your sources before you make any conclusions. And you need to do that on Twitter as well. Okay, that brings us to the end of our All English unit for the month of October. And hopefully we encouraged you to talk about free speech yourselves and learn more about Elon Musk and SpaceX and Tesla and all that good stuff. So from all of us here at English Digest, my name is Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.